Hey everyone, today's video is going to be a little bit different than my usual Genshin content. For a few months now, I've been logging onto accounts from viewers on my Twitch chat to help them get more stars in Abyss and see if their accounts can get 36 star clears. Some are definitely harder than others, but through the process we often figure out new comps, rotations, and general tips for clearing Abyss, and I had a thought to take the footage and add some commentary to condense the longer stream sessions. And now this account is a good friend of mine who's been too busy lately with school and life, so they gave me the login to help with dailies and spending resin when I can get to it. But there's definitely some confusing decisions that I feel like were made on this account. As you can see here, there's a level 90 Klee since this was one of his favorite characters, and his Klee is also a C4, which gives her more support abilities to her kit, but I never play Klee and don't have her on my account, so this playstyle in general was definitely a learning curve for me. But pretty much we have a Klee national team here, and just to let you know, if you have Raiden, she is definitely a more preferred pick with this team over Klee, and that is one of the strongest and most used teams for Abyss, that Raiden national team. There is a Raiden on this account sitting at level 1, which is definitely painful, and now I'm definitely thinking of leveling her for my friends since that could be a big boost to this account. On the second half, I'm using a pretty typical Ayaka Freeze team. This team is definitely expensive though, with Shenhe, Mona, and Kazuha, but there are a ton of other options as well. In my last video, I ran Chongyun instead of Ayaka, Xingqiu instead of Mona, and if you have Kokomi or even Barbara, they can definitely be helpful for healing and breaking the Pyrolector's shield. Rosaria or even Kaya can replace Shenhe, and if you don't have Kazuha, then Sucrose can easily be subbed in here. But going into 12-1 first half, it's a normal start of a national team rotation. Benny with a quick E and Q, Xiangling E and Q, and then I should have done EQE on Xingqiu to be more optimal, but I did QEE and ended up missing the last skill, which is a major loss in damage. Now the mechanical pencil here did the rocket attack where it flies up, so to not waste time, I hit Klee's ult, and since Klee is C4, when I swap away from her, she'll explode and do pyro damage to the enemy, and her bombs will decrease the defense of the mechanical array. I'm weaving in some normals here too because of the Honed Spirit buff. I'm trying to decrease the resistance of this thing, as well as proc some Vaporize with Xingqiu's rain swords along with the Pyronado. And it seems like around the 9:15 mark, the mechanical pencil will go into the phase 2, and that's when it has the shield up and you can't hurt it. So don't waste your skills and bursts on it while it's going into phase 2. And when the smaller ruin robots spawn, look for the one with the ring around it, because that's the one you need to defeat to break the shield of the main enemy here. Unfortunately, I got the snake one here, which takes the longest amount of time to spawn, so I'm using bursts and skills as quickly as possible to destroy it. And pretty much right after destroying the snake, I book it for the weakened mechanical array, and I throw everything I can at it. It did regenerate since I didn't kill it in time, which is super annoying, leaving me with a minute 20 seconds left for the second half. I definitely had a faster clear time in a previous run, but botched the second half, and I try to aim to clear most of these with like a minute 30 or minute 40 left on the clock. But moving on to 12-1-2, I start with a Shenhe skill, then burst for cryo damage boosting, then swap to Kazuha for a quick skill and burst to swirl the cryo, Mona's skill to freeze, and then I just burst with Ayaka to get rid of the dogs real quickly. I saved Mona's burst there on purpose so I could use it at the start of the next wave. You definitely want to prioritize killing the Dendro Samichurl as quickly as possible because his vines are so annoying, and then use the Hydro character you have on the team to break the Abyss Mage shield quickly too. Luckily, having Kaza in here made grouping the Lector and Mage easier, and once the Mage is gone, just focusing on doing as much damage as possible to the Lector, and then he'll go into his shield mode. Pretty much at this point, you just want to spam Hydro attacks. Mona, Kokomi, Barbara normal attacks are great here, and also if you get close enough to the Lector, you can even use Mona's dash to apply Hydro and weaken the shield. Xingqiu also bodies this guy to the point where it's like not even fair. The rain swords from the Q proc so fast, and when he has the swords around him from the skill, You can literally break the shield just by standing close to him and the sword's applying hydro. 3, 2, 1, keep going, keep going. We got this. Winnable. Now for the first half of 12-2, I'm not gonna lie, I feel like it's kind of a cakewalk. I've fought this thing so many times, it's kind of easy to understand what it's going to do. Really, this is just spamming bursts and skills. Bringing a shield character is also very helpful here. Zhongli, if you don't have him, he's coming soon. There's Toma, there's Diona, even C4 Yanfei. Really anyone that can give you a shield is great. So that way when it does its big attack, it actually does a lot of damage to itself. But even not having a dedicated shielder on this team was still alright for the most part, because of the crystallized shields that'll drop and you can pick those up. But it's not always reliable, and even in this run, I took some big damage for not having a shield. A minute 30 clear on this one, which is definitely enough time, but also definitely could have been faster with this team. Oh, it was a lot slower. Oh my god. That was a lot slower. For the second half and the 2 Hydro Lectors, these guys are quite annoying, I gotta say, but not as tough in my opinion as the Pyro one on the first chamber. I'm gonna use the same rotation as chamber 1 as much as possible. Kazuha is great here for grouping, but if you don't have him, it seems like if you run past them towards the wall, they'll end up grouping to you, and you can just freeze them or keep them around there, and it'll make your run much easier. No! Don't die. Now when they go into shield mode, I'm just going to apply as much cryo as possible with Shenhe and Ayaka. Rosaria's burst can keep them frozen here too and continually break their shield, and if you have Chongyun and use his skill, any normal attacks from melee characters will attack with cryo, and that'll break the shield super quickly. And with enough time on the clock, I decided to break the shield with Ayaka's dash just for fun. We splashed him! On this, no! Get splashed. We win these. Okay, so after a couple tries, I decided to switch up teams a little bit for 12-3, which is definitely not preferable since I had to go all the way through chamber 1 and 2 again, but at least I could take my time and make sure bursts were ready for all my characters. The Zhongli on this account is built for some meteor damage, so I swapped the Jade Spear that was on Shenhe to him and gave Shenhe the Favonius Lance, which I do like a lot for high base attack and to help Ayaka get her burst back even faster. Since I took out Kazuha for Zhongli on that team, I moved Kazuha to the second half since he is built sub DPS and he's great for dodging some of Magukenki's attacks, and I took out Xiangling since she has a low investment on this account. For 12-3-1, the Ruin Guards will walk right towards you if you stand at the starting point, so I use that time of them walking towards me to shield up with Zhongli. Then I just do what I have to do to keep them frozen with Ayaka and Mona and Shenhe, and throwing in Zhongli's meteor in there too to continually keep them in the same spot, just spamming bursts over and over till we move on to the graders. And with the graders, if you move to one of them, the other one will come over for the most part, yet somehow I got the weirdest attack pattern here and the other grader just stood from afar and started shooting a beam attack at me. Why does it keep stopping so far away? Stop laser beaming me, my guy. But when it finally did come over, I did the same thing as before and just kept them frozen and petrified. Thanks to Shenhe and the Favonius Lance, I was even able to have bursts up consistently. So I was just spamming bursts with Zhongli, Ayaka, and everyone else.
起舞吧，命运的虚
天动万象，聚收并蓄。
呀，失礼了。神力流，双面。命运。
Finally, with Magu Kenki, he's been in Abyss for what feels like an eternity. I definitely thought the triple Magus were a lot easier, so there was some getting used to with this one again being in here. And this dude has a ridiculous amount of HP, and you auto lose 10 seconds at the start from him waking up, which is just tragic. So I feel like if you can aim for like a minute or a minute 10 clear on the first half, then you'll probably be fine just to make up for those 10 seconds. And luckily with some practice, you can learn to dodge his attacks pretty easily. He has a couple of audio cues that you can time a dodge to iframe him, and when he does the big plunge attack, especially like when he's going into phase 2, he actually turns white right before he does that attack, which is kind of your signal to just hit the dodge right then.
好，出发！有大家在身边，伤口就不。
可叹落叶，
知识成景，全都可以炸完。
踩，断，烧起来吧！
起，呵，塔风。
And coming up on towards the end of this run, I was just left clicking as much as possible to beat the clock, and then something crazy kind of happened. 4, 3, 2, 1. No, she got blasted at the end there. I lost it by a second. I lost it by a literal. No, I got it. Wait, I got it. I got it. Wait. I got it. No, I got it. Let's go! Hype in the chat! Hype in the chat! They gave it to me! So if you didn't see what actually happened there, the timer was definitely at 6:59, so I thought I lost it by a second. But if you actually look at the challenge time on the left, with the newest patch, when you run out of the allotted time, it'll turn gray. But when I did this clear, it still stayed white. So I think I cleared it literally by a few frames. I would imagine it was supposed to turn gray in that moment, but it just didn't, and I got the 3-star clear. So there was definitely some luck involved at the end there, getting it by a couple of frames. Also, if the Magu Kenki didn't take 10 seconds to wake up, then I definitely would have had it. But that's how I cleared Abyss 2.4 on this account. A couple of close calls for sure, but got it done. Some of these characters really have low investment, so this was definitely a challenge and is making me want to actually grind this account a little bit more for my friends to make it kind of a little bit easier for me going forward, doing these Abyss rotations when it resets again. And I mentioned this before, but I often run Abyss for viewers in the chat over on Twitch, and I plan to do more videos like this, so if you want to potentially have your account reviewed and try to get some more stars in Abyss, make sure to give me a follow over there. So now I'm curious, how have your Abyss runs been going? Do you think the last rotation or this one is harder? Let me know in the comments, and make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.